Today, we're going to talk about karma and work with trying to recognize karma and how we deal with it. Karma refers to compulsiveness. It's the urge or mental impulse that is driven by some disturbing emotion or disturbing attitude, and that then moves us like a magnet into engaging and doing something, saying something, or thinking something. So it's the mental magnet gets us into our activity. And it builds up a tendency by when we act out according to what we're drawn to. It builds up a tendency to compulsively repeat the physical, verbal, or mental action. When various circumstances arise, either internally, like the arising of some disturbing emotion, or externally, like situations we're in or people that we're with, these tendencies lead to feeling like repeating the action. And then, usually without reflecting on the consequences of the action, we just compulsively repeat it. That compulsiveness with which we repeat our previous patterns when we feel like doing something, that's what the karma is actually talking about. This compulsive behavior also results in feeling unhappy, or the type of happiness that never satisfies. So karma is the compulsiveness behind our behavior. This is what leads to problems, since disturbing emotions drive these patterns. So we could have compulsive behavioral patterns like attachment to not missing anything, and so compulsively we check out our messages and Facebook wall on our phones all the time, or naivety and consideration of others' feelings, and so texting at the dinner table with your parents, or anger causing us, when caught in traffic, to compulsively beep our horn and try to cut in front of others. So we have that type of compulsive behavior. There's also compulsive speech patterns, like dissatisfaction leading to compulsive complaining, self-importance and hostility leading to compulsive criticizing and compulsively speaking like a bully, aggressively, or shyness and low sense of self-worth leading to speaking very softly. We also have compulsive thought patterns, insecurity leading to compulsive worry, naivety about reality or the wish to avoid reality leading to compulsive daydreaming. So all of these are examples of self-destructive, compulsive behavioral patterns that lead to unhappiness. But there are also constructive ones that are nevertheless neurotic, like perfectionism, compulsively correcting other people's logic, compulsive do-gooders who can never say no, workaholics. These could have a component of positive emotions behind them, like the wish to help others or to do well. But because they have a preoccupation and inflation of me behind them, I have to be good, I have to be needed, I have to be perfect, they make us temporarily happy, like when we do something well, but that happiness doesn't last. And that's the problem. For instance, we feel that we're never good enough, or we still have to go out and do a good deed in order to prove our worth. So this compulsive behavior can be either negative or positive. So how do we deal with it? Since this is a cause of problems and difficulty. First, we need to calm down. We need to slow down. Only then can we possibly recognize the difference between when we feel like doing or saying something and when we compulsively do it. That's really the key, to be able to catch that space in between feeling like doing something and then compulsively doing it. Because in that space we can evaluate, is there some disturbing emotion behind it? Am I just pushing myself compulsively to be something that's impossible, like always perfect? Is there some physical necessity to do it, like scratching an itch? Will it be beneficial or harmful? So we evaluate with discriminating awareness, and then exercise self-control not to act out this feeling if we see there's no good reason to act it out, what we feel like doing or saying, but only some neurotic reason. This requires being mindful of how we act, speak, and think, so being introspective throughout the day and exercising self-control. The goal is to use discriminating awareness and act non-compulsively as much as possible, with positive emotions behind our behavior and as little confusion as possible about ourselves and what's realistic. So the question is how to use meditation to develop this discriminating awareness and self-control concerning our compulsive behavior. So this is what we'll do. We start first by calming down. This is very important for meditations in general, but especially for this one, to try to recognize what's going on with our compulsive behavior. So we calm down by focusing on the breath. Keeping count if our minds are very distracted, or no need to keep count if they're relatively quiet. Then try to identify some compulsive behaviors of action, speech, and thought that we might have, whether they're constructive ones or destructive ones. Choose one of your compulsive patterns and analyze. Was there some disturbing emotion behind it, or grasping for something impossible like never making a mistake? Is it because we're very attached, we're very hostile? We want to be perfect, which is impossible. And try to recognize that when you act compulsively, it causes some sort of problem, either only in yourself, or you cause others problems and difficulties as well, and that it leads to feeling either unhappy or the unsatisfying type of short-lived happiness. see what a troublemaker this compulsive pattern is. Decide that it would be really great to be able to break this compulsive pattern. Being compulsive like this just prevents me from fulfilling what I want to do, fulfilling my own purposes, and it certainly is a big hindrance to helping others. And resolve that you'll try to exercise discrimination to evaluate what you feel like saying and doing. And as Shantideva, the great Indian master, advised, when it will be self-destructive or just reinforcing your ego, exercise self-control and remain like a block of wood. Just don't do it. Don't say it. Shall remain like a block of wood. And now, let's sit for a while, focusing on the breath, and try to notice this space between when we feel like doing something and when we would actually do it. And see that there is a space and we don't have to actually act out what we feel like doing. Now, that's very difficult to recognize when you feel like mentally wandering and then you compulsively mentally wander, there's usually a lack of interest or attachment to some thought or something like that behind. That's very, very fast sequence, but we can notice it when we feel like scratching an itch or moving our leg or something like that, clearing our throat, sitting up straight. Try to recognize the time lag between when you feel like doing it and when you would actually scratch that itch. And that you do have the possibility to decide whether or not to enact what you feel like doing. See that you can exercise self-control and remain like a block of wood when you decide that the benefit of not acting it out outweighs the benefit of acting it out. That's what you evaluate. If it'll ruin my meditation if I don't move my leg, then there's more benefit than not moving it. Find that space between feeling like doing something and compulsively just doing it. And if you're going to act out what you feel like doing, base it on an evaluation of, is it beneficial or not? Is there some disturbing emotion behind it or not? If there's no good reason to do it, don't do it. And especially when you feel like scratching that itch, don't do it. See if you actually can exercise self-control. Why is it you compulsively want to scratch it? And resolve that in terms of compulsive behavior in your daily life, you will try to be more mindful of the space between when you feel like doing something and when you do it. And when the benefit of not acting it out outweighs the benefit of acting it out, you'll try to remain like a block of wood. Whether it's doing something or saying something. Or going into a mental loop of worrying about something. In my daily life, I will try to be more mindful of the space between when I feel like doing something and when I do it. And when the benefit of not acting it out outweighs the benefit of acting it out, I will try to remain like a block of wood. Then we quiet down again by focusing on the breath.